Welcome to Victory News Tonight for Friday, August 21st, 2026. I'm Mike Garafalo.
And I'm Fior Hernandez. Here are a few of the headlines we're watching for you now. Following reports of a woman in federal custody for plotting an ISIS-inspired bombing of the New York State Capitol, we'll talk with CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell about this and more.
And Marxist teachers are redefining parents as oppressors, teaching student freedom equals liberation from mom and dad. The founder of LibertySentinel.org, Alex Newman, will share the details ahead. But first, let's go to tonight's top stories. President Trump took steps today to save Americans money when they buy ground beef. In a Truth Social post, the president said this: as everyone knows, under President Biden, beef prices soared at their fastest rate, and the American beef herd fell to its smallest size in modern history. As we work to rebuild this herd and help our ranchers for the next 90 days, the United States will allow up to 300,000 metric tons of product for ground beef to be imported with no out-of-quota tariff. The president went on to say he has a commitment that this beef will be sold at 25% below current market prices. According to CBS News, ground beef rose to $6.89 per pound in July. That is up 57% from 5 years ago. And the U.S. Supreme Court today gave the Trump administration the go-ahead to continue construction on the controversial White House ballroom project. In the ruling, Chief Justice John Roberts opted to stay a federal district court judge's injunction. Now, that injunction called for barring President Trump from continuing construction while a lawsuit played out. The injunction stopping construction had been scheduled to take effect today. One thing that is necessary to win elections is money. And according to reports, the Republican National Committee has quite a bit of it. According to Newsmax, in July, the RNC raised a little over $19 million, bringing their total of cash on hand to $130 million heading into the all-important midterms. One RNC official said the committee believes its cash on hand has reached its peak and will begin to strategically direct that money toward competitive races around the country. A Donald Trump-aligned super PAC has about $400 million of its own cash on hand. And President Trump is expected to stay in-house when he picks a new White House Legislative Affairs Director to replace James Braid. According to the Washington Examiner, sources close to the president say there are plenty of qualified staffers already inside the West Wing legislative shop who could step in immediately. Insiders say the job navigating Congress, oversight fights that is, and potential impeachment battles is not exactly a private sector magnet. That's why Trump is likely to choose someone who already knows Capitol Hill and the White House inside and out. Braid, who previously worked for Republican lawmakers and J.D. Vance, plans to step down in September ahead of the midterms. Fior.
Thank you, Micah. The co-founder of the Democratic fundraising machine ActBlue had a closed-door deposition on Capitol Hill Thursday where he reportedly pleaded the Fifth Amendment, meaning he chose not to incriminate himself. According to Fox News Digital, the House Oversight Administration and Judiciary Committees brought in Matt DeBergalis to try and get to the bottom of alleged lax fraud prevention standards by ActBlue that may have allowed foreign donations to seep into U.S. campaigns. The Thursday morning deposition reportedly lasted less than half an hour, with Fox News reporting DeBergalis entered and exited the hearing room within roughly 25 minutes. A report released by the committees in April 2025 claimed that ActBlue executives and staff were aware that both foreign and domestic fraudulent actors exploited the platform but did not take the threat seriously. The Trump administration has just designated American scholar Min Zin as wrongfully detained by China, increasing pressure just weeks before President Trump hosts Chinese leader Xi Jinping in September. Secretary of State Marco Rubio made the determination after reviewing Zin's June 3rd arrest in Yunnan. Zin had traveled to China at Beijing's own invitation for an academic conference. Instead, he was seized at the airport, held in isolation, and repeatedly interrogated for nearly 11 weeks. According to Fox News, China claims he's under investigation for endangering national security and spying. Zin is now one of 2 U.S. citizens the State Department lists as wrongfully detained there. A new Emerson College poll of 1,000 likely voters finds a former Biden administration Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg leading both Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance by 5 5 points in early 2028 presidential matchups. According to the Washington Post, Buttigieg takes 49% to 44% for each Republican. The undecided sit at 7 to 8%. And of the 5 Democrats tested, Buttigieg holds up best. Georgia Senator John Ossoff leads both the GOP names. California Governor Gavin Newsom edges them, and former Vice President Kamala Harris splits, trailing Rubio but leading Vance. Progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez loses to both. Neither Rubio nor Vance has announced a 2028 run. Decisions are expected after the midterms. Republicans are warning that backlash against artificial intelligence data centers could cost them Ohio's critical Senate race. A leaked National Republican Senatorial Committee memo obtained by Axios flags a growing voter opposition to the massive facilities as a serious risk for Republican Senator John Husted. According to the Daily Caller, the August 18th memo cautions that if perceptions aren't fixed quickly, the fight could spread far beyond Ohio. Husted, who previously helped recruit data center projects and now faces former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown in the November 3rd election. Brown has made opposition to the centers a centerpiece of his campaign. The warning lands just as OpenAI and NVIDIA announced a major new data center development in Pike County, Ohio. Mike?
As we reported on Victory News on Thursday, a New York woman is in federal custody after plotting an ISIS-inspired bombing of the state capitol in Albany. And much more. Jessica Bowie, 35 years old, converted to Islam, we were told, 5 years ago, and took the name Aisha Safe.
We wanted to announce the arrest of Jessica Bowie, age 35, of Albany, New York. She's charged with attempting to provide material support or resources to a designated foreign terrorist organization.
According to the FBI, she pledged allegiance to ISIS, praised the September 11th attacks, and told an undercover source she wanted to poison these infidels. Prosecutors say she repeatedly surveilled the New York Capitol building, bought nails, other bomb-making materials, and planned to disguise the device in a DoorDash bag to kill state senators while they met there. The FBI arrested her Wednesday after she accepted an inert explosive and firearm from undercover agents. Agents also recovered knives and a handwritten ISIS loyalty pledge. All right, let's welcome back to Victory News from Jerusalem, CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell. Chris, your reaction to this ISIS-linked woman's plot to blow up the New York State Capitol?
Well, Mike, it proves, I think, ISIS still exists. It's still alive and well, whether it has advocates there in the United States. Certainly doesn't have the caliphate that it is trying to establish here in the Middle East, in Syria and Iraq. But that ideology is still influencing people like this lady, Jessica, doing what they wanted to do, either poison or blow up the state Senate there. It's part of the ideology that they want the House of Peace and the House of War. The House of War is that part of the world that's still not under the subjugation of Islam, and that's what Jessica wanted to do, to impose Islam.
And Chris, President Trump announced his economic D-Day against Iran and any country supporting it. Podcaster Benny Johnson shared a powerful challenge in China's stock market.
The biggest absolute bloodbath of the year. What's going on here in China? Well, something remarkable is happening. China, which buys 90% of Iran's oil, can't get any oil. That means they can't produce plastic crap. That means their entire economy, all of it, AI, every data center, every drone program, every nuclear program, all of it grinds to a screeching halt.
Chris, your thoughts on Trump's economic D-Day against Iran and strangling China's oil supply line?
Well, this blockade is having an impact in China. It really have, as he pointed out, trillions of dollars are being affected in the economy of China, certainly of Iran as well. The question remains, I think here, Mike, is a lot of people are wondering if this economic D-Day that the Trump administration has announced is going to have an impact on Iran. We know their economy is struggling desperately right now. And could this be sort of the death blow, not only to the economy, but to to the regime. A lot of people are hoping is finally going to come to an end. 90 Iranians, most of them are opposed to this regime, and many of them are praying and hoping that this regime will finally fall.
And Chris, a day after Israel carried out airstrikes on northern Syria, and the country's foreign minister arrived in Pakistan. It comes in the wake of Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey agreeing to a new alliance, defensive alliance. What does this all mean for Israel and the Abraham Accords expanding?
It's very significant for Israel right now, because what they want to do, and because of this attack, was to prevent Turkey from establishing a military base and air defenses in this air base inside Syria. They're seeing Turkey as a growing menace, as a growing threat. Iran is sort of going down, to being degraded as we speak. But Turkey has its own ambitions in the Middle East, and Recep Erdogan, the president of Turkey, really has ambitions, Mike, to revive the neo-Ottoman Empire and expand his influence in the region. So it's a very significant, and it also does talk about the Abraham Accords. Because of this alliance with Pakistan and Turkey, it seems unlikely, at least right now, that Saudi Arabia is going to join the Abraham Accords anytime soon. Now,
the United States plans to bar Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas from traveling to New York City in September to address the United Nations General Assembly. Does this matter to Israel's leadership?
Yeah, very much so. And last year, Abbas was prevented as well by the Trump administration. Israel's concerned that Abbas uses these international forums to really come against Israel and make his case for a Palestinian state. It's likely that, just like last year, he's going to appear by video, but it certainly sends a signal by the Trump administration that they don't want Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas taking his case to the world rather than having direct negotiations with Israel. So very significant, and we'll see what happens in this General Assembly coming up in just a few weeks.
And be sure to check out more from Chris at chrismitchellnews.com and at jerusalemdateline.com. Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Mike.
You bet. Tim.
All right, Mike, thank you. In Dallas on Thursday, several conservative groups gathered outside the American Airlines Center to show support for WNBA player Sophie Cunningham, who recently spoke out against biological men playing in women's sports. Now, Cunningham's Indiana Fever were in town playing the Dallas Wings, and rally attendees had strong opinions on that issue.
It's just crazy that somebody that stands up for the fact that they have been on the front lines of sacrificing their time, their body, for a sport that they love, and then for them to say, men can't take this away from me. We fought for Title IX. We fought for these things for them. So now we have to keep fighting when it comes to this, because we can't have men take over our sports.
It's so commonsensical. It's XX, it's XY. You're either a man or you're a woman. Your question, how we got here, I don't know that I'll really ever understand. I just hope we can get back to some normalcy of common sense.
God designed us male and female. Those things cannot be argued. Yes, you may suppress hormones or do some other things, and quite frankly, I have a lot of grace for people that may be confused, but that doesn't mean that we have to put young women at risk. There's something very different between those two statements.
Now, many we talked to agreed this fight is worth fighting, because if we as believers don't stand up for what is right, who will? The University of Michigan plans to launch a pilot program in fall of 2027 that will withhold traditional letter grades from some first semester students in its College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. Students will receive only pass or no credit, with those results excluded from their transcripts and GPAs, although they will still receive assignment grades and instructor feedback. The university says the program is intended to help students transition successfully to college and address the mental health challenges facing young adults. Now, the plan has drawn criticism from education experts who argue that removing grades does not address the underlying causes of student anxiety and depression and could weaken academic rigor and accountability. Fior?
Tim, some Jewish Democrats urged Jewish voters in Michigan Wednesday to throw their support behind GOP U.S. Senate candidate Mike Rogers over Democratic Socialist Abdul El-Sayed. Jewish Insider reporter Matthew Castle posted the letter purportedly led by Eric Bronstein, a Detroit Jewish leader and businessman, on X Wednesday. The letter details El-Sayed's demonization of Jews, equivocation on terrorism, the exclusion of Jewish Americans from public life, and more. It alluded to the idea that an El-Sayed win in November would elevate anti-Jewish elements in the Democratic Party to dominant positions, including the 2028 presidential election. The letter concludes with, quote, "This is a moment when each of us must speak out. We're voting for Mike Rogers. We ask other Michigan Jewish voters to join us," end quote. New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill is catching some heat for signing Bill S-2260 into law. According to LifeNews.com, the measure grants legal immunity to abortion providers and erects new barriers against accountability for activities the state now broadly labels reproductive health care. The legislation essentially shields abortion providers from certain investigations, legal actions, and records requests originating outside New Jersey. The Life News article quotes New Jersey's Right to Life Executive Director Mary Tassi as saying, quote, "S-2260 does not protect women. It protects the people who end the lives of living human children already growing in the womb. New Jersey should be a sanctuary for mothers and babies, not a legal fortress for those who profit from abortion." Mike.
Sure, what started as a routine town hall in Dearborn, Michigan on Tuesday exploded into a raw confrontation over Muslim influence in American life. Pastor Lorenzo Sewell of 180 Church stood up and declared this.
"You look down on us. Your police enact injustice on us. And when Jake Lane talked about Jesus, he was assaulted. Because you are not up under American law. You are up under Sharia law."
Sewell pointed to an earlier clash at a local march where activist Jake Lang was punched and chased by counter-protesters who picked up rocks. Police arrested one person. Sewell and Lang claim the lack of stronger action proves a double standard. Mayor Abdullah Hamad says the critics are attacking the idea that all Americans can belong here at the same time. According to Fox News, Dearborn is now the first U.S. city with a majority Middle Eastern or North African population, roughly 55%. Ahead, teachers are using Marxism to drive a wedge between parents and children.
The founder of LibertySentinel.org, Alex Newman, has the details coming up.
We are going to wind up the week on Unclassified with a very special program. Chad Prather and Gary Chapman both join me. We'll talk about the ups and downs of life, funny things, and some serious things about overcoming difficulty. That's tonight at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, and again at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Chad Prather, Gary Chapman tonight on Unclassified. We'll see you then.
Every day, more noise, more questions, more uncertainty. But truth never changes. On Victory News tonight, we bring you the headlines with clarity and confidence. On Unclassified, we go deeper, exploring the truth beyond the headlines. And through this election season, America stands, following our story as a nation at its crossroads. Join the Victory News team, weekdays and throughout this election season, only on Victory.
Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick held a press conference this week criticizing sexually explicit and other controversial books in public school libraries.
We have a responsibility to be sure that what we are using those tax dollars for is what they would expect us to use it for. They do not expect us to do this. And again, some of these titles have already been taken out of our prisons or not allowed. That's how bad they are.
Patrick was joined by conservative activists and parents who have pushed school boards to remove challenged books. The Lieutenant Governor defended Texas Senate Bill 13, passed in 2025, which requires schools to review and potentially remove books after public complaints. He also said lawmakers plan to introduce legislation that could lower a school's accountability rating if it keeps a challenged book on its shelves. Now joining us is an award-winning journalist and founder of LibertySentinel.org, Alex Newman. Alex, do you think Texas Lieutenant Governor's efforts to get immoral books out of the public schools is on point there?
That's a no-brainer. In fact, in almost every state, it is a crime to give obscene material to children. The way they get away with this in so many states is they've created exemptions for government school teachers. That is an outrage. There's no reason why taxpayer-supported institutions ought to be corrupting the hearts and minds of our children. And so the lieutenant governor is exactly right to be doing this. In fact, I think he should go harder.
All right, Alex, you wrote an article this week on LibertySentinel.com entitled Parents as Oppressors, Schools Use Adultism as Marxist Weapon Against Family. Tell us about this latest threat from teachers against the innocent minds of our children, man.
Well, thank you. So in 22 states that we know of now, there's this concept being used in professional development programs, in curricula and ethnic studies programs, where they're framing parents as the oppressors and children as the oppressed, the victims of this oppression. So it's like critical race theory. It's like Marxist bourgeoisie versus proletariat, only reframed for little children. The goal is to teach them to rebel against their families and ultimately rebel against God. And people don't realize our whole system of education in this country is saturated with Marxism. My latest book, Woke and Weaponized, is actually called How Karl Marx Won the Battle for American Education and How We Can Take It Back. This is the tip of the iceberg, and if we don't get this under control, we're going to end up like so many other countries that have fallen before ours.
Yeah, we must continue to push back. I agree with you. Now, some strong words this week from Democrat Ed Markey on President Trump and one of his keystone policies this term. Listen.
I say impeach Trump. He must be held accountable. And he's also planning on stealing the election. That's what the Save America Act is all about. It's all about stealing the election this fall.
Same rhetoric, Alex. Your response to the senator and his take on the Save Act.
The double standards are hilarious. I actually got kicked off Facebook in 2020 for asking questions about the legitimacy of that election. But I think they're very concerned that if we get honest elections in this country, it's going to show that the American people have really moved away from the Democratic Party. And so they're terrified. And so they're already trying to put out this narrative. If he wants to impeach the president, he ought to come up with a list of alleged crimes and misdemeanors that the president has committed. Then we can have a discussion.
All right, now LibertySentinel.com is also reporting on a tax-funded scientist who are offering a dire forecast for human beings. Now tell us about their findings on the population.
So this is something that I've been around for years. For 20 years now, I've been going to UN conferences for the New American Magazine and other publications exposing this cult that believes there are too many people on the planet. And now this new study that just came out in August argues that we need to slash the population of people by half. They want 4 billion people on this planet, and the 4 billion who remain, it makes very clear, are to have much less freedom and much less prosperity. It'd be bad enough to have kooky people spouting these things on their own dime, but the fact that we taxpayers are funding this is an outrage.
Absolutely. Now, over 30,000 Lindsay Clancy fans, listen to this, have raised over $1 million for her. Now, this is the woman who killed her 3 children, her 3 young children. Are people like this turning Clancy and Luigi Mangione cases into some kind of cause?
They are, but if you think about it, it's really just a logical progression, right? They have just recently in multiple states, including Massachusetts, legalized the killing of unborn babies right up until the moment of birth. And so why should we be so shocked that there are people, I believe, under demonic influence who celebrate or defend the killing of children after they've been born? This is something that's been with humanity from time immemorial, especially in pagan cultures. It's vile, but unfortunately, it seems to be making a dramatic surge in the United States.
All right, Alex, really, really good insight. Stay right there. We'll be back to you in just a minute. Mike, if you're.
All right, thank you, Tim. Democrats narrowed their list of potential 2028 presidential convention host cities Thursday, ruling out Atlanta and Chicago.
The Washington Times reported that Democratic National Committee Chairman Ken Martin said the cities of Boston, Philadelphia, and Denver had submitted incredibly strong bids. The 3 finalists are surrounded by suburban areas that have become increasingly important to the party in recent elections. The presence of key demographics and interest groups, labor unions, provides greater access to fundraising.
Martin promised the convention would be an inspiring celebration of the Democratic Party's future nominee as they look toward the wide-open primary to succeed Donald Trump. The Democratic convention is scheduled for August 7th to the 10th of 2028. The Republican Party has selected Houston for its 2028 convention. The specific dates are not yet set. And before we go, let's talk with Liberty Sentinel's Alex Newman one more time. Alex, the Liberty Sentinel had a story recently about a Canadian family's weeks-long battle to get access to their money in a bank there. Tell us what happened.
Well, it's a terrible story. An elderly woman was denied access to her bank under the guise of fraud prevention. And this battle went on for weeks, even after it was very clear that no fraud was being committed. The lady was not being extorted or anything like that. And unfortunately, it has become a problem all over North America and across the West, where these banks, in conjunction, unfortunately, with government, have usurped these powers to determine for us whether we can access our money. Canada is especially out of control. But we've seen similar things in the United States. And so it's a clear warning to people. Do not let them get rid of cash. Do not let them take any more control, because you could be next.
Warning indeed. New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill just signed a new bill that stops people from praying outside of abortion centers, and she added this.
13 states, 1-3, have enacted total abortion bans. It's easier to get an AR-15 in the United States than it is to get an abortion.
Alex, why do so many Democrat women in power seem to focus so intently on killing the unborn?
Well, to go back to what we said earlier, this has been a problem in pagan cultures from time immemorial. You go back to the Canaanites, you look at the Aztecs. Like, child sacrifice has been a part of the fallen human condition from the time that we fell. And for a long time, we had suppressed that in Christian societies and what we call the Christendom, the free world. But it is now coming back with a vengeance. And I think they understand the power of prayer. That's why they want to restrict our ability to pray outside of these centers that are murdering children on an industrial scale. But they need to be exposed. They need to be counseled. And unfortunately, this is going to become a bigger problem before it gets better. We've got a lot of work to do.
We will continue to pray.
Yeah. And Alex, are you surprised at all by the Supreme Court's decision regarding the White House ballroom?
I'm not. The Supreme Court has gotten a lot of things wrong, but they're also doing some good work increasingly. And, we'll see where they go. I think we still have a lot of room for improvement from the court, but they're doing the right thing more frequently now than they have been in the past.
All right. Thank you.
Be sure to read the great journalism at libertysentinel.org. You can also find it on X at LibertySent. Alex, thanks for getting the truth out to the American people. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Tim?
Tell you what, we covered a lot of things today on the newscast, a lot of issues that are going on in the country that require us as believers to be engaged in the process. We talk about that a lot here on Victory News, but we want to encourage you, be engaged, because we stand on the side of truth. Truth is on our side on all these issues. So if we stand on the side of truth, like Lorenzo Sewell did in that meeting, I had so much admiration for him to do that. So as believers, we can do this, right? We can do this because we have truth on our side. If you need prayer, 817-566-7777 is the number you call, 817-566-7777. One of our prayer ministers, our licensed prayer ministers, are on the other end of that phone. They will pray with you about anything you need prayer over. Father, we thank you for this great week you gave us. Father, I pray for each and every person watching us, all of our viewers as they go into this weekend. We pray they have a wonderfully blessed weekend, Father, as they spend time with friends and family and worshiping you this weekend at church. And Lord, bring us all back here safely Monday as we continue to do our part to make this country great again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tim. Our thanks to Chris Mitchell, Alex Newman, and especially to you. We return Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central with Ashley Hayek from America First Works and ringside political host, or politics host, that is, Jeff Cruere. Be sure to join us then.
The world reports the problem, but the Victory Channel brings you the answer. Whatever is born of God overcomes the world. This is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith.
All right, stay in faith, everybody. Don't take the weekend off from your faith. Have a blessed weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Unclassified starts right after break. God bless you, everybody.